Now in this video I'm going to show you how I go about teaching a beginner. Most of my coaching is classed as elite coaching or better golfer if you will, but that's not the case. We do occasionally teach beginners or relative novices how to improve their putting and more importantly learn what putting is. Andy Gorman-ThePASS, the putting and short game specialist, breaking out today in elementary format on how to roll the golf ball in a straight line, because ultimately that's what we're here to do. So what is putting? Well, putting's pretty straightforward. Your job, my job, is to roll the golf ball towards a given target at a speed relative to the distance we want to go. That's it. That's putting for you. And we're rolling the golf ball along the ground. Now, I don't get to teach many beginners, primarily because most beginners actually don't learn putting before they've gone out there to play golf. They've learned to hit golf balls, they've been on the range, they've been whacking balls around for a while, and typically we take our friends to the golf course after we've taken them to the range, and we kind of show them how to play golf, even though they can't hit a ball yet. And then it gets to putting on a green. And I know a lot of golfers, I do work, especially online, with golfers who are relative novices, who don't know how to play, and as a consequence to that, really struggle with putting. And it's 40% of your shots. In fact, it'll probably be more than 40% of your shots. Wow, it generally works out about the same. But if you're a 120 shooter and you can't roll the ball in a straight line, then you're really going to struggle with putting. You've also got to control the speed and direction of where you want to go. So putting, is kind of challenging. Now, let's skip some of the fundamentals of how you hold the golf club, although that's important. How you stand to the golf ball is critically important, and just look at the basics of putting. Can we roll the golf ball between two sticks? Now, even beginners may have a couple of sticks available or a couple of golf clubs available that you could use. You just lay them down, and if you have to put the ball here in order that you don't hit the golf clubs, that's fine. I've got a couple of aluminium strips here which allows me then to be able to send the golf ball down there reasonably straight. And you can now see there's a little bit of a cloth carpet, if you will, that's representing a hole, and the ball just bounced over the top of that. What I'm trying to do is to just cushion the blow. Can I roll the ball in a straight line? Yes, I can. How do I do that? Well, how we need to manage and understand it is that the club face is 90% plus of the start line, the direction that you're going to hit the golf ball. That needs to be at 90 degrees to the target. So when we place the golf club down, that club face is now completely perpendicular to these parallel lines. That club face is square. And as long as I can move the golf club in a reasonably straight line, I can hit the golf ball in a reasonably straight, effective rolling result. And as you can see, that it's very much going over the centre of the hole that's cut out. Now, it's just there to cushion the blow. I'm trying to stop the ball from racing off towards the hole and just being able to use it on a regular basis. There we go. Nice square strikes. Now, why is this important to understand? Even as an accomplished golfer, if you cannot hit 3 and 4 foot putts in straight lines, you're going to miss putts that really should be made. So this is elementary, but it's also critical. We've got to be able to do this as accomplished golfers. Even tall players will struggle to hole every putt. Even though percentage-wise and statistically they hole 99%, they still miss 1 in every 100. There is a mitigating circumstance. There's a bit of what we call slope. We may have misread it. We may misstrike it. As a good golfer, we need to be focusing and making sure that that face is square. And if I can keep that club face moving squarely, what I don't want is the club moving in this manner here. As you can see from the front here, you can see there's a pivot point which is somewhere in the middle of the club, about here, that's not moving from side to side, that's changing that club face. And of course, now the golf ball goes to the right. It could just as easily go to the left. And as you can see, very easily just jumps out and moves a long way left of the hole with that closed club face. And you would see the same thing if the club face was open. It misses the target a lot, but I've had to make a big error because I know what I'm doing. Now, we can talk about yips if we're an accomplished golfer at this point as well. Results as a beginner, when we don't have the skills acquired to move the golf ball towards the target consistently, doesn't cause yips. So what causes the yips when we're an accomplished golfer? That's going to be another video. There's the tease for you. I'm sorry, but that's the tease. Now, if you struggle with the yips and you want help with this, then reach out to me, golf@andygorman.com. Email me and I'll be more than happy to help you along the way. I desperately, especially with the yips, I want to be able to help you. They are curable. I've had them 3 decades ago now, but I've had them. It took me a while to overcome them, but I managed it. But I had to break all of the rules first in order to be able to overcome. I putt under pressure with these videos, and you might go, yeah, but there's no tournaments on the line, Andy. Oh, no, you're right. There isn't any tournaments on the line. But, you know, if you've got the yips, trust me, you would be missing these putts or miss-hitting these putts. You wouldn't be able to get down these lines. Okay? I'm just going to say, because I couldn't. When I had the yips, I couldn't tell you which side of the hole I was going to miss on a 4-foot putt. Yips are horrible, but they are beatable. And I've been very successful with over 200 golfers in my sort of 20 years as a putting coach to be able to help folk overcome. Every single one of these putts is going in a straight line because the face is square to the path of the club. The path of the club is reasonably straight to the target that I'm hitting towards. So these are key. Right? Can we do this? Yes. Can we learn how to? Yes. So this is how I teach a beginner. Can you square the face to the target? Okay, what happens if the path is not good? Okay, let's have a look. Well, it goes a little bit to the right, but that path was moving all the way over there, but still went in the hole. It would have gone in the hole if there'd have been one there. It went over the right half. Now, if the club face had been closed, it would have straightened up a little bit, but it was the path of the club. Look, the path of the club is sending the golf ball a little bit to the left. Yes, it did take a nudge, but the face may have been a little bit closed as well. Look, a long way out and a long way through, and the ball has caught the left half of the hole. It would have gone through those sticks. So as long as the face is reasonably square, we're going to hit the golf ball reasonably straight. That's the key. Now, as I'm teaching a beginner, the whole thing about this is now, can I roll the golf ball through here and see a result? As a coach of a beginner, I want golfers to see improvement straight away. Can you learn something from lesson 1? Yes, I can hit the ball, roll the ball in a straight line. Roll it in a straight line. Look at that, straight through the sticks. Brilliant. All right, now there's a hole, as you know if you've watched any of these videos before, it's 10 feet away from where we are. That hole is there. Can I roll the golf ball in a straight line? Yes, I can. Can I roll it between these sticks? Yes, I can. Can I hole it? Yes, I can. But as a beginner, I'd never put a hole in the way. If we just wouldn't put a hole there. Because ultimately what I want you to do is to achieve the task at hand, which is to roll the ball between the sticks. If we can roll the ball between the sticks, we've achieved our task. So that when we get out onto the golf course, we can imagine a pair of sticks, the width of a hole, the width of the club head. My club head is 4 inches across. A hole is 4 1/4. And if we can roll the golf ball with a relatively square face, that golf ball's going between those sticks. So how do we progress from there? Well, we can put a ball the sticks in front of the hole or at the side of the hole to putt to a target like we did here. So now there's a moving hole. It's just appeared at the end. Can I roll the golf ball? You know I can. Down there, into the hole. Yes, target, connection. We've made progress. Again, we're succeeding as a beginner in hitting the golf ball in a straight line. That's hard when you've got a wedge or a 7-iron or whatever club you're learning to play with. But with a putter, we can reasonably achieve this because we're moving the putter 10, 12 inches either side of the golf ball. Something you can learn to do. Yes, we can work on the skills of how you posture, etc., etc. But I want you to achieve a square club face, travelling a reasonably straight line first. Then what do? Uh-oh, we pulled one of the sticks out of the way. Now there's no reference to the target. Well, there is, of course there is. There's a stick at the offside, if you will. So now can I run the ball parallel to that stick and send it on its way? Yes. So now I've achieved the same thing again. I can do that numerous times. Can I put it on the other side? Of course I can. I can nudge that one out of the way. It doesn't matter which one you leave. But what we're doing now is seeing the putter is moving reasonably straight, the face is relatively square, and the golf ball is now running parallel to the stick. Now, typically we're going to do this on the golf course, but of course, when we get out on the golf course and all of a sudden there is no sticks around, there's no guides, just the hole in front of us, what else have we got as a reference? How about using the line on the ball? Just use the name. Now the club face, because there's a line on the putter, I can use that as a reference point. Can I move the putter through that ball in exactly the same way as if I've got parallel lines to work with? Yes. It doesn't matter if it's not relative to the target at this stage, okay? I'm not bothered if you don't practice with a hole. I'm not bothered if you're practicing this at home and you only roll it across your carpet or your newly acquired putting mat. But essentially, can you roll the golf ball in a straight line? Yes, you can. With a face that's relatively square to a path that's relatively straight, you will see the golf ball rolling end over end. Now, I don't know about you, but folk talk about complicating putting. It doesn't get any more simple than this. And that's what it's all about. So, number one, if you are a beginner and you need to understand about putting, the face needs to be square to a relatively straight moving putter in order to hit the golf ball in a straight line towards a target that you've chosen, whether it's a hole or whether it's just putting down your mat, etc. If the face is square to the path, we'll see the golf ball rolling end over end. With the sticks, we've got a great opportunity to be able to achieve something that is visual. When the sticks move away, we can put the line on the golf ball, which now gives us something square or parallel to aim to, which starts our process of getting into the right position every single time and gives us an opportunity to see how good we are at rolling the golf ball end over end. That's how I teach a beginner. And if that is something that is elementary to you as a recreational golfer or an elite player, and you think that you're beyond that, then that's fine. I'm only going to say that I practice this very regularly in order that I can keep on top of my results. Is the face square to the path? Is the path relatively straight? Have I chosen the right line? Have I rolled the golf ball in a straight line? All these things are elementary, but as I said once to a bunch of juniors many moons ago now, a 4-foot putt will always be 4 foot and will always count as 1 on the scorecard unless you miss. And having 3 putted from 4 feet on more than one occasion in my playing career before I became a putting and short game specialist, I can say to you 1 or 2 extra when you don't need to is just as painful today as it was 30 odd years ago when I didn't know which side of the hole I was going to miss on. Andy Gorman, the Pass, Putting and Short Game Specialist, thanking you for watching an elementary video that is applicable to every golfer at every level of the game. And I appreciate you so much, but if you want to work with me, if you would like to work with me for free, then please hit me up, email or WhatsApp. So information below, but golf@andygorman.com. You can send me a couple of videos. I will help you to improve your putting, and that won't cost you anything. I'll point you in the right direction, tell you to watch this video again so that we can actually understand what's going wrong. But ultimately, if you're struggling, you can do that. My contact details are below, and I'll be more than happy to help you out going into any golf tournament or any golf season that you may be watching. Thanks for watching again. I'll see you next time.